There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise of the world becomes unbearable, not because it's loud, but because it's empty. The chatter, the drama, the endless opinions, all of it begins to feel like static. That's when you realize peace doesn't come from controlling the noise. It comes from stepping out of it. Silence is not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's not surrender. Silence is power under control. It's knowing that you could speak, you could defend, you could fight, but you choose not to. Because your energy is sacred. Because your peace is too expensive to trade for temporary satisfaction. You see, toxic people thrive on chaos. They feed on reactions. They want to see you break, argue, prove, explain. The moment you respond, you become part of their storm. But when you stay silent, when you walk away, you deny them their control. You stop dancing to their rhythm and start walking to your own. There is a kind of silence that heals, the kind that rebuilds you from the inside. When you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, when you stop chasing approval from those who never gave you peace, something inside you changes. You start to feel light again, free again, whole again. People will say you've changed. They'll say you're cold, distant, or proud. But that's not pride, that's peace. That's what self-respect looks like when it stops apologizing for existing. You're not the same because you finally learned that not every battle deserves your presence. Some fights are won by walking away. The truth is, peace demands sacrifice. You cannot hold on to peace and still cling to everything that disturbs it. Sometimes that means closing doors gently, not with anger, but with grace. Not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to let go. You stop returning to the places that break you. You stop begging for energy that drains you. You stop explaining your worth to people who never valued it in the first place. There's a quiet kind of strength in choosing silence when the world expects noise. It's the strength of restraint, the strength of wisdom, the strength of someone who's seen too much, heard enough, and finally decided that peace is not found in proving a point, but in walking away from one. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every insult, justify every move, or convince anyone of your truth. Your peace speaks for itself. Your silence carries a language only the wise understand, a language that says, "I'm done explaining myself to those who were never listening." When you stop trying to be understood, you begin to understand yourself. You realize that solitude isn't loneliness, it's clarity. In silence, you start hearing your own soul again. You start remembering who you were before the noise, before the drama, before you allowed other people's chaos to dictate your calm. That's when growth happens. Not in noise, not in arguments, not in the heat of confrontation, but in the quiet moments where you finally decide to protect your energy like it's your last breath. You start pruning your circle. You start valuing peace over popularity, depth over distraction, and connection over convenience. Walking away doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've learned to value your time, your mind, and your soul. It means you've realized that peace isn't something you find, it's something you create. And sometimes, creating peace means destroying your attachment to what disturbs it. There's an elegance in walking away silently. You leave the noise behind without slamming the door. You don't curse, you don't explain, you don't plead. You just leave. Because you finally know your worth. And your worth doesn't scream, it whispers. It whispers, "I'm not staying where my soul feels small." When people lose access to you, they'll start telling stories. They'll twist your silence into arrogance. They'll call your peace a problem. Let them. Your peace doesn't need to be understood, it only needs to be protected. Remember, not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Some people were only meant to watch from a distance. The quietest people often carry the loudest power. They've learned to stand firm without shouting, to stay calm in chaos, to walk away from noise and find music in the stillness. That's what peace is, not the absence of problems, but the presence of calm within them. And here's the secret. Silence doesn't just protect your peace, it amplifies your power. Because when you no longer waste energy reacting, you redirect that energy into rebuilding, into evolving, into becoming the kind of person who no longer seeks validation because your peace has become your identity. So if you're tired, if you're drained, if you feel surrounded by noise, step back. You owe no one an explanation for protecting your peace. The people meant for your life will never demand you destroy yourself to make them comfortable. Let your silence speak louder than your anger ever could. Let your calm become the answer to chaos. Let your distance become your declaration that not everything deserves a response. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Because silence is where wisdom grows. It's where dignity lives. It's where self-respect finds its voice. And when you walk away without a word, the world finally hears you louder than ever before. So hold your peace close. Guard it like treasure. Because once you taste the power of silence, you'll never crave the noise again.